Hi guys, so I've got another pemmican video for y'all. Last time I showed y'all how to make a shelf-stable pemmican that you can take with you for camping or hiking. It was going to be stable for you to be able to eat years and years down the line. Now, I personally love eating my meat cookies straight out of the freezer. So I don't always worry about using ingredients that will keep it shelf stable. So a quick run through, if you didn't watch my last video, pemmican is an ancestral protein bar. It originated with the indigenous people of North America, and pemmican is made from from dried meat that was made into a powder, and then it's mixed with fat to make it into a paste. And they traditionally would put some fruit or nuts in it if they had it to change the different textures or flavors. I don't eat the fruit and nuts, so I won't be putting that in mine, but you're welcome to put that in yours. But this video is to show you some different options for your pemmican meat cookies. If you would like to enjoy them out of the freezer the way I do, it opens up many more possibilities of different types of meat that you can use. So some of my absolute favorite meat cookies that I've made in the past have been made from actually leftover meat. So really from a chuck roast has been my absolute favorite. So if you've made pot roast and you have a bunch left over, you can take that already cooked meat and you can dehydrate it, and you can use that as your dried meat that you're going to turn into the meat powder. This time, I'm going to show you how to make it with ground beef because the process is a little bit different. A lot of people try to just dehydrate the ground beef and go straight into making pemmican from there. And I've had a lot of people say that they have issues with it getting the ground beef dry and all that. I can understand that because ground beef is very fatty and it would be very hard to dry out. And I actually do enjoy pemmican made from ground beef, but I have my own way of doing it so that we can get all of the fat and still use it in the pemmican, and also get that beef really, really dry so that we can make it into a nice powder. So that's what I'm going to be showing you guys today. I'm starting with 3 pounds of 80/20 ground beef. I'm sure you probably know how to cook ground beef, so I'm going to speed through this process for you. I cooked mine on medium-high heat since I wasn't worried about keeping it tender and juicy like I would if I were cooking the ground beef to just eat it by itself. Once the beef is browned and there is no more pink showing, it's time to strain it. I'm using a mesh strainer over a bowl to strain the fat out of the beef. We're saving the fat to add back into the pemmican, but before we can do that, we need to return the fat to the heat and keep cooking. When you cook ground beef, in addition to the fat, there's a lot of water that also gets cooked out. When we return it to the heat, the water will start to simmer away and evaporate from your tallow. Eventually, you'll notice smaller bubbles and you'll see bits of protein getting left behind and floating around in the tallow. That's a sign that you're getting close to done. Eventually, the protein bits that separated will turn a dark brown and get a little bit sticky, and you can clump them together. You'll notice the only areas now where you see bubbles are right where the protein bits are. This means it's time to remove it from the heat and transfer it to another container, making sure you strain off any bits of protein so that all we have left is the pure tallow. We're going to set this aside to add back in later. Next up, we need to transfer the ground beef to the dehydrator. I will be using my Ninja that has a dehydrate function, so I'm going to put the meat directly in the pot, sprinkle it with salt, and give it a bit of a stir. I'm setting this to dehydrate for 8 hours at 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Make sure you take time to stir the meat about every hour or so that you make sure it dries evenly. Now, while you watch me stir every hour, I'm going to put a little suggestion in here. If you are using an actual dehydrator that has mesh shelves, you'll need to line them with parchment paper, or if you have a cookie sheet that will fit inside the dehydrator, you're going to want to do that, as it will keep the ground beef from crumbling through the openings during the dehydrating process. Here's what your meat will look like when it's dry, like little rocks, tiny little meat pebbles. Time to use the food processor. I'm working in batches to get this processed into a meat powder. The finer you can get the powder, the more cookie-like texture you will end up for your pemmican. Since I don't have a super high-powered food processor, I like to follow this up with a spice grinder or a coffee grinder to get it into a really finely ground meat dust. And yes, sometimes you have to get thrifty, just like me, and use a pair of scissors to start your appliances. I broke the button off of this coffee grinder, so now I resort to using scissors. Sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. The ground beef tends to clump together the finer it gets, so it does make this a little bit more difficult using ground beef, but it's okay, we'll get there. Here's what the difference looks like between the process of the meat powder when it was first done in the food processor and what it looks like after it was run through the spice grinder. Now it's time to weigh the meat dust. So make sure that your scale is set to grams. Now, when we weigh, mine came to 347 grams, which means we're also going to need 347 grams of tallow. I'm going to start with weighing the tallow that I rendered from the ground beef earlier, which came to 168 grams. Now I need to add more tallow until it equals 347 grams. First, I'm using the last little bit of suet tallow that I have left over from the last batch of pemmican I made. I don't have much of it left at all. That uses up all of the tallow that I already have rendered, so I'm going to grab this jar, and this is going to be great to finish up. All right, exactly 347 grams. That worked out perfectly. Next, we need to put the tallow in a saucepan over low heat to get it all melted down. Once the tallow is transparent again, it's time to start adding the meat powder. This is where you will notice a big difference when you compare it to my other pemmican. The other one gets thick and eventually looks like a brownie batter, but this version stays very thin the entire time and resembles more of hot chocolate. The meat powder also likes to sink to the bottom. You'll also have to work at breaking up all the meat powder so there aren't clumps of it left behind. You'll notice I pull up some clumps here and there on the whisk as I'm mixing it up. You have to really break them apart by crushing them against the bottom of the pan. Now that all of your meat dust is mixed in with the tallow, it's time to grab a spoon and give this mixture a taste. Now is the time to add any more salt or spices you may want to use. If you're adding dried fruits, nuts, or honey, or anything like this is also the time that you're going to want to add that. All right, time to put these in our silicone molds. As I'm pouring this into the silicone molds, you will notice it is very liquidy. You need to stir it often as you are scooping out the mixture to keep the meat from just sinking to the bottom of the pot. I'm sprinkling these with hickory smoked salt. I just love the hickory flavor with ground beef. It reminds me of burgers cooked over a campfire. You can see better here how I stir before scooping out each spoonful. Once the silicone molds are all filled up and salted, I'm going to pop them in the freezer for at least 6 hours. Then you can remove your meat cookies from the molds, but make sure you return them to the freezer. They will not hold up at room temperature. After these have been in the freezer for at least 6 hours, you can go ahead and remove these from the silicone molds before returning to the freezer. Look at my cute little flamingo. I just love these ice trays. And look at the little shells. It's beautiful too. As I pull out these other ones, you can see how the meat powder sank to the bottom before freezing, so the back sides of these are a lighter color than the fronts of them. Okay, so it is time to show the finished product to you guys. Now I've got some little flamingos here. They look like little chocolates, but they definitely don't taste like chocolate. They taste like meat. And then I'll show you some of my little square ones. They, interestingly, the fat kind of separated just a little bit. It's kind of a lighter color. Sometimes that happens with the texture of the ground beef as it separates. It's the same batch, it's just didn't get mixed quite as well, I guess, as it separated. You got to keep stirring it. But they're still going to taste amazing. I do have one that has been sitting out just so you can see how soft it gets. This is why these are not shelf stable. These are the ones that you have to store in the freezer. So this is one, I had it sitting out overnight so I could show you. It is super, super soft. In fact, it's leaving like a residue on the plate. I don't know if you can see that, but it's leaving a residue on the plate because it's so soft. The fat, it just smears right off. Almost like a melted chocolate bar is what it feels like. It tastes fine, but I do not think these would be safe to eat sitting out longer than a day. I think they will start to go bad. So highly recommend, if you want the shelf stable ones that you can take camping and hiking, you go look at my other video and make that one instead. These still taste good, but they are very, very soft. They are very messy. So I, don't recommend it for that. However, I like to store these in the freezer. Can you hear that little bit of a crunch? It's got an awesome texture. All right, I'm gonna bite into the little flamingo. Now he's a thick piece compared to the little flat one. Same amount of pemmican. It's just the different shape of the mold, so this one's a lot thicker. You see that in there? They're all really good. They're delicious. I love that smoked salt that's on them to finish them up. These are fantastic. I eat these all the time. If I'm, if I've fasted and I'm cooking a meal and I'm just hungry and cannot wait for it to be, cooked, I'll pop one in my mouth, grab it, munch on it. Sometimes I just want that cookie texture. When I ate the standard American diet, I had to have dessert after every meal. I've realized I don't need the sweet. It's more of a texture thing now that I just eat the meat. A cookie texture is not one that you get very often, and it is something that I absolutely love. So being able to grab one of these at the end of the meal just to change up the texture and the flavor a little bit. I don't need anything sweet. That will help me, feel like I've had a little something extra, a nice little treat, finish off my meal, and I love it. So I hope you guys try these out. I hope you will make them and you will enjoy them too. They are one of my absolute favorite treats. So please enjoy. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and please subscribe if you want to see more recipes in the future. I plan on doing some crispy beef tendons in the future. I also am going to show you guys how to do like some regular staples to keep in the kitchen, like how to render your own tallow, especially like the suet tallow. You can't just go to the store and buy the already rendered suet. If you want to learn how to make ghee, I will be showing that. So if you're interested in any of that, go ahead and subscribe, and thank you. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.
She's the friendly neighborhood carnivore with a talent for cooking up a meaty uproar. From juicy steaks to sizzling ribs galore, she'll have you coming back for more. Fellas, smash that like button. She's the carnivore cooking queen.